This time of year marks the start of the Advent season, which ushers in a period of eager anticipation for the celebration of Christmas. So, on this Friday, we celebrate hope. For a miracle has opened the doors for all of us to stand tall in the face of overwhelming odds. Thank you for joining us for this joyous edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, December 2, 2022. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, is getting 323 new constables to boost its operations. The new constables graduated on Wednesday during a ceremony held at the National Police College of Jamaica in Twickenham Park, St. Catherine. Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, is urging the newly minted police personnel to remain true to the mission of serving the citizens of Jamaica.
Oftentimes you don't get the kind of moral support you require from some of your community members and the naysayers who continue. But it's a job that has to be done. It's a job that is critical to the country's development.
He says government is focused on the development of the force and enabling members to demonstrate their professionalism, skills, commitment, and sharp intelligence.
Technology is crucial to the work of the police in today's world, and the government is committed to providing you with those tools.
Government will be taking steps to eliminate the incidences of duplications and other impediments to an effective public procurement process. That's the word from Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark.
We definitely have to make changes in our procurement system to make it more efficient. There are certain steps that might need to change, certain thresholds that might need to be adjusted. Certain steps that have to be removed.
Public procurement is the process of acquiring goods, services, and works using state funds in an economical and effective manner. Minister Clark says the effort to change and improve this process already started with the Public Procurement Commission, PPC, which recently received ISO 9000 certification.
And I am proud of the fact that as far as the PPC is concerned, the time for items to remain with them is down to 2 weeks, when it used to be 8 weeks several years ago.
The finance minister was speaking at Wednesday's handover of 50 new garbage trucks and 10 motorcycles acquired for the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett is leading the development of a global charter for tourism employment to guide the recovery of the industry worldwide. The charter is being developed by the newly formed Tourism Employment Enhancement Team, chaired by Minister Bartlett. The team met for the first time earlier this week at the World Travel and Tourism Council WTTC Global Summit held at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia from November 28 to December 1. Minister Bartlett says the global charter will become the social contract between employers and employees, creating the basis for a new labor market relationship in global tourism.
So what we will end up with is a globally accepted charter that will guide future employment activities in the industry and training and development and upscaling of the workers of the industry.
While in Saudi Arabia, Minister Bartlett also led a team of Caribbean tourism officials in cementing a major multi-destination arrangement with leading airlines in the Middle East. The gathering was the largest of public and private sector tourism stakeholders since the COVID-19 pandemic. In other tourism news, the minister is calling for more investment in the growth of Jamaica's health and wellness subsector. Wellness tourism refers to travel associated with the pursuit of maintaining or enhancing one's personal well-being or holistic living. Minister Bartlett says investors and entrepreneurs should pay keen attention to the growing demand for this.
The motivation for investment in health and wellness is beyond just the fact now that the market globally is so large. But what Jamaica is doing in terms of our own planned development over the next 5 years invites you to make those investments.
Minister Bartlett was speaking at a recent two-day health and wellness tourism conference organized by the Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF. He says Jamaica's tourism plan for the next 5 to 7 years includes approximately 20,000 new rooms, which creates more opportunities for health and wellness services. Globally, in 2020, the health and wellness economy was valued at $4.4 trillion and is set to recover from the impact of the pandemic. And finally, the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, will be rolling out a special cleanup program during the Christmas season. The program will be implemented in collaboration with the municipal corporations. It will target town centers and market districts to boost garbage collection and place greater emphasis on compliance to minimize the illegal disposal of waste. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie made the announcement during the official handover of 50 garbage trucks and 10 motorcycles to the NSWMA on Wednesday.
I want to urge the vendors who I know during Christmas is expecting to get some latitude by virtue of occupying the roads. We're not going to allow any unruly behavior to push aside the efforts of having a clean Christmas. We are not only committing to a clean Christmas, but we are committing to a clean Jamaica.
The minister also announced that new legislation to increase the penalties for the improper disposal of garbage should be ready by next year.
The final draft has gone back to the drafters, and we are expecting by next year, before the middle of next year, we will have the new regulations as it relates to the litter fines.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Prime Minister provides update on gun amnesty, delivers 5 more homes under the new social housing program, and hails the country's public sector workers. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Vaughn Davis. First up, Prime Minister Andrew Holness updated the country on the gains made through the gun amnesty implemented from November 5 to 19. He revealed that 101 firearms and 3,000 rounds of ammunition were handed over to the authorities during the 2-week amnesty. The security forces also recovered 22 illegal firearms.
It has surpassed my expectation. But there are still many more, thousands more firearms, illegal firearms in our country, not to mention illegal ammunition.
For the firearms turned in, the Prime Minister said a number of them were from individuals who had not licensed the weapons for several years, or who may have inherited them and did not bother to get them regularized.
The amnesty was necessary to give those persons an opportunity to dispose of these weapons without having to bear the consequences of the new penalties under the new act.
Mr. Holness warned that with the amnesty over, persons found in breach of the Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Act 2022 would face the full penalty of the law. The Prime Minister also updated Parliament on the raft of measures being used to curb violence. He said the government was preparing legislation to provide stiffer penalties for murder.
My thoughts on the matter, though not yet finalized, but the thinking is that we should give 30 years minimum for murder. The Minister of Justice has been directed to bring those changes, because this has all been discussed already, to bring forward these changes immediately. We may not be able to catch this year, but early next year, we will be coming to the House with amendments to the penalty for murder.
Mr. Holness made the statement as he opened the debate on resolutions to extend the states of public emergency SOEs recently declared in several parishes and police divisions. The SOEs ended on November 29. He announced that a cabinet submission was expected by the end of December for tabling the Enhanced Security Measures Act in Parliament early next year. A new Fingerprint Act will also be brought to Parliament soon.
Currently, it is easier to get a DNA sample than it is to get a fingerprint. The act is old and outdated. It doesn't contemplate the new technologies that exist.
The proposed amendments will expand the powers of the courts to order the taking of fingerprints and photographs for several offences that were not covered under the old legislation. It will also expand the offences scheduled and the groups authorized to take fingerprints, extend the time for the retention of fingerprints, and provide for the use of approved modern technology for the electronic taking of fingerprints and the storage of data. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Holness signed a contract for a new water treatment plant to be constructed in Content, St. Catherine. The plant will transfer 15 million gallons of water to benefit approximately 150,000 customers in the Kingston metropolitan area, Portmore, and Spanish Town. The project is valued at $77 million and construction is slated to be completed in 2 years. It will be managed through a public-private partnership agreement between the National Water Commission and Rio Cobre Water Limited. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the agreement will facilitate the design, build, financing, operation and maintenance of the plant.
Followed by a 23-year period of operation by the private partners, after which ownership of the plant will be transferred to the NWC. The PPP arrangement may also be renewed for an additional 5 years.
Later that day, the Prime Minister recognized public servants island-wide in celebration of the 30th iteration of Civil Service Week. He attended the Long Service Awards ceremony to honor public sector workers who have served the country for more than 25 years. At the top of the week, State Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Marcia Smith, delivered Mr. Holness's message at the annual church service held to mark the observation. On Friday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett were on hand for the groundbreaking for a new boutique resort development, Unico, in Lilliput, St. James. The adults-only all-inclusive hotel will provide approximately 451 additional rooms to the accommodations sector. Prime Minister Holness welcomed the developer's plans to partner with government and provide housing solutions for the 600 new permanent employees that will be hired as part of the development.
We are also very much pleased to hear that you come to Jamaica with a social consciousness about housing for those 600 plus tourism workers. So if we are truly interested in building an excellent product, then we must not only build rooms for visitors, we also have to build rooms for the workers. And the government has a key role to play in ensuring that we have houses.
Still in the West, 5 units built under the new social housing program NSHP have been handed over to families in several communities across St. James. Prime Minister Andrew Holness presented the keys to beneficiaries in Norwood, Salt Spring, Lottery and Canaan on Friday.
What we're trying to do is to provide social housing according to the laws of Jamaica. So I want to assure Jamaica that there is no favoritism, skullduggery or any favoritism or cronyism being applied in the distribution of these houses.
Friday's presentations marked the delivery of 119 houses under the NSHP so far. Finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness last week expressed sympathies to the family and colleagues of the late businessman, economist, academic and philanthropist Dr. Marshall McGowan Hall. Dr. Hall passed away on Tuesday. In paying tribute, Mr. Holness said Jamaica had lost one of its foremost academic thinkers and business leaders who played a critical role in helping to shape innovations in the economy. Throughout his career, Dr. Hall served as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Public Service, as well as Chairman of the Development Bank of Jamaica, the National Commercial Bank, Mutual Life, and the Caribbean Policy and Research Institute. He was also Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and head of the Department of Management Studies at the University of the West Indies, UWI-Mona, and was a widely published researcher and writer in the areas of micro and institutional economics. Additionally, Dr. Hall was instrumental in pioneering the large-scale modernization of banana production in Jamaica and boosting national employment and exports. This he achieved during his 40 years at the Jamaica Producers Group, where he was managing director for 27 years. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister. I am Vaughn Davis.
If you're anything like me, one of the things I anticipate the most about this season is the food. Specifically, all the delicacies to make my taste buds sing. Don't mind me, I have a tendency to wax lyrical when talking about cuisines. You might just do the same with our upcoming feature.
The focus of the Advent season is on how we can prepare our hearts and homes for the arrival of Christ. As we prepare ourselves for the joy, peace, hope, and love that the season brings, holding close to those we love the most, and sharing our favorite foods are two ways we do this. As we consider our preferred foods for the season, our Jamaican fruitcake paired with a glass of sorrel comes to mind. Chef Dennis Osborne is in the kitchen to walk us through creating this popular Christmas dessert.
Let's go. All right, so we're making an half-pound butter fruitcake today. So we're starting by creaming our butter and our sugar together. So we add half pound of butter in our mixing bowl and half pounds of sugar. We mix or cream our butter and sugar at a medium until creamy and fluffy. So we are combining dry ingredients first. So here we have a cup of flour, a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, combine this together. Have half cups of breadcrumbs here. And the breadcrumbs is optional. So we set this aside. We move into our fruits or dry fruits. So we have here some mixed peel. We have some raisins. So it's half cup of raisin, half cup currants, half cup prune, and half cup cherry as well, and quarter cup mixed peels. So we'll go ahead and put in some nutmeg also in. About a tablespoon of nutmeg because it's flavoring for us here in Jamaica. So this will combine all our dry ingredients, so when we're mixing we don't have any separation. By adding our dry fruits in our blender to get it puree, and we're adding 2 cups of wine for moisture, so it makes the cake all juicy and ready. Here we go, our fruits all puree and ready to add to our batter in just a few. So we move over to our eggs. Here we'll be using 7 eggs for our batter here. The first one is fine to crack in the bowl that you're going to whisk in, but for the others, preferable do them separate because of spoilage. Alright, so we go by whisking our eggs. This helps to combine the yolk and also the egg white together. Here is our butter and sugar. Cream and come to a nice peak. So this is what you need when you're baking your cake, light and fluffy. So we combine this butter, creaming portion to create our traditional fruit cake. We have adding a teaspoon of almond and a teaspoon of vanilla, and of course we'll be having just another pinch of salt, and our Jamaican rum will be adding about 2 shots. So we're gonna go ahead and put our cake batter inside the oven for 350 degrees for 2 hours, all right? Ginger to put on the glass just for decoration. So here we go, we have our Jamaican fruit cake. Also on the side, we're going to serve some carrot cake. For those who in the family doesn't enjoy the fruit cake, so we can have some carrot cake with some walnuts.
I'm sure you've already begun decorating for the holiday season. However, while we're in a festive mood, it's also a good idea to be safe.
When it comes to Christmas lights, please ensure if you're leaving the house, plug them out. If you're going to bed, plug them out. Now, for adults especially, don't tell yourself that the child is going to plug them out when they finish watching TV. We know a lot of persons will be purchasing Christmas trees. Make sure you look for the UL rating for man-made Christmas trees. If you're using a live tree, make sure that you cut some of the lower branches off so that it will be able to fit into a container that you can pour some water in. Make sure that you are putting some water in that container at least every day. And the reason for this is, even though it's a so-called dead tree, the branches are still soaking up some amount of water and maintaining some amount of moisture, which will keep it fresher for longer. The fresher it is, the least likely it will catch fire. Position your Christmas tree at least 3 feet away from all heat sources. And when we speak of heat sources, a television is a heat source, the cable box is a heat source, all appliances are heat sources. So make sure that you position these trees at least 3 feet away. And you want to ensure when you put the decorations on them as well, the lights as well, what you want to ensure is that there's circulation space around the tree. And that will help to maintain the room temperature around that tree. One of the main things that we have to point out when it comes to holiday cooking, never ever leave the cooking unattended. We know how difficult that is when you have friends and family over, but please ensure you don't leave the cooking unattended. Worst, if you feel like you need to take a nap, and after you wake up, you do the cooking. Don't start cooking and tell yourself you're going to take a nap because enough water is in the pot. It won't boil over, it won't dry out. We have seen a lot of cases where this has led to fires, and we know that there'll be a lot more cooking in the Christmas season as well. As much as is possible, wear appropriate clothing. So long flowing sleeves that can hang over and catch fire, you don't want to be wearing those. And kitchen towels, make sure that at all times they are kept away from the stove. If it is that you have wind blowing in a particular direction, make sure you check the direction of the wind. No curtains can get to your stove. Children are naturally curious. At all times, no child must come within 3 feet of a stove. Make sure that you keep them away. Make sure you tell them why. Tell them what can happen if they do certain things, if they disobey, and make sure that they understand. Because what you don't want is for them to use that natural curiosity and then go ahead and experiment and try to find out why mommy said I mustn't light the stove when she light the stove. And again with children, make sure that no child under 12 is cooking.
A group of well-educated foreigners visited Jesus soon after his birth and gave him gifts of myrrh, frankincense, and gold, according to the Bible. And with that, Jesus' future path in life was indicated by the use of the symbols of gold, which represents royalty, frankincense, which represents adoration, and myrrh, which represents death. What that means for us may be a question for you. Aside from the beginning of a shift in the trajectory of world events, it means that we should make every effort to give meaningful and transformative gifts this holiday season. A notable point of why it is better to give than to receive. We've come to the end of our program. Get a recap of all you saw here and more on our website at www.jis.gov.jm. From all of us here at the JIS, have a jolly Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm Audrey Williams. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.